Being present is more than showing up. It's about having self awareness of your thoughts and feelings. And when around others, it's about being there with and for them by listening deeply, noticing what's coming up for you, and managing your emotions. It can also mean how you show up and engage with others. The question I want to pose to you today is, how honest are you being with yourself in order to show up with intention and the kind of presence needed to be in relationship with others, whether it's your personal life, your professional life, or for yourself? Hi, my name is Heather Leavitt Martinez. I'm the director at Tech Host Academy, and I help professionals make online sessions more engaging, efficient, and equitable. Please take a moment to like, follow, or subscribe to this page so we can contribute and continue the conversation about how together we can create environments we can all thrive in. In a recent Quest session with resident expert on facilitation Brian Tirallo, Brian presented how a third-party collaboration tool helps with the facilitated process and gave us firsthand practice, which gave us both the dance floor and the balcony view of what it means to be a tech host. Brian also presented the four players model. This way of observing human behavior, coupled with what he teaches us about facilitated meaning structures and flows, allows us to tech host in a very informed way. It's a lens by which we understand what's happening in the virtual room and know our place in it. Here he's showing how path space aligns with a specific meeting model we were studying. It was in this Quest session where we had access to cutting edge technology, trends in facilitation, and how we as tech hosts can leverage these tools to do our very, very best work. But it takes more than knowing tech and approach design to be present in our role as tech hosts. Presence is a big piece of what we come to learn and practice at Tech Host Academy. You may have heard me say it's more important than tech, and presence is and even approach design is also more important than tech. That's because there is a baseline for tech that we have to know. Then there's a new tech that we always learn, and then there's new tech for us to seek out based on the presenters and participants' needs. But the real value that you bring as a tech host is what can be experienced and felt when you are fully present. And that requires honesty. It's not always easy for some to be honest in a world full of competition or we're navigating cultures or instances where people are playing nice. But let's forget about those instances for a moment. We'll come back to that. And let's look at why it's important for us to be honest with ourselves first. Getting honest with ourselves means going deep. How well do you know yourself? Sure, you may spend a lot of time with yourself, but do you know your blind spots? Do you know how you show up and how that affects others? And do you know how to maintain composure in any situation? These are all self development questions I learned about and got coached on while working at a leadership development company. It happened after getting a 360-degree performance review, and that's where you get evaluated by your boss, your colleagues, and anyone who reports to you. It's anonymous and it can be brutal. It can also be the greatest gift that you can receive, especially when supported by coaching and being willing to and seeking out coaching. Getting honest with ourselves means exploring parts of ourselves we may not have before. This can be hard because we don't know what we don't know. But when we become the observer with a specific lens of intention while staying open to what is, we can learn a lot about ourselves. And now is a great time to do so. While I'm not an astrologer, I study astrology and the seasons. The sun just moved into Libra, and today the moon moves into Libra. So, what does this mean? Well, if we look at the attributes of Libra, balance, introspection, harmony, and appreciation of lessons, and we keep those attributes in mind, they can provide us with a bit of a forecast of what the conditions are like the weather. If we know it's going to rain outside, we can grab an umbrella or a raincoat as to not get caught unexpectedly. But during this time, which is fleeting, we can make the most out of this by being honest with ourselves because the forecast is giving us conditions in which to inspect deep and find the lessons and the balance. The balance here is that when we're truly honest with ourselves and seeing something we don't like rather than beating ourselves up, how do we find the harmony? How we can do this is be gentle and take action to make a change. Now is the time. Now, this is all well and good to do this work, but it can be quite meaningless until we understand ourselves in relationship to others. In the spirit of being honest with ourselves, knowing how our presence affects others can greatly develop our understanding of who we are. We can leverage others to go deep by noticing what comes up when we interact with them. And what we say and how they respond tells us a lot about us and them. And knowing yourself can distinguish between what's yours and what is someone else's stuff to work with. And therein lies the lesson. We can't know the lessons unless we know ourselves. And when it comes to working with others, it's about maintaining composure. See, we have an opportunity every time we work with others to be the observer. When we observe, we learn. Have you ever heard this saying, when you're talking, you're not listening, and when you're not listening, you're not learning? I always thought that was something my school teachers said just to get us to stop talking. But there's a great truth in it. I'll say it again. When you're talking, you're not listening, and when you're not listening, you're not learning. It is when we can be quiet, present, and listen deeply to what others are saying. Well, that's when we're learning. And leveraging listening models like the ones Brian and our other experts share in the monthly Q&A calls can help you put into practice your presence as a tech host. To develop your presence, we also offer 2 lessons that help you get really honest about how your presence affects participants and how your presence affects the presenter. Also, the agenda and the process and the group and the bigger picture. Then in live Q&A calls, you get the support you need when putting all of this into practice. I hope to see you at Tech Host Academy. To start your journey, I've provided 2 links in the description. One is your tech hosting roadmap, and the other is for a free tech hosting training, how to create thriving online environments without needing to be a tech geek. I hope to see you soon.